I think that, first of all, we could not solve technical problem, for example, securing borders, without changing minds, without changing thought of the Western civilization. Because immigration, post-feminism, of so-called feminism, liberalism better than feminism, because there are some versions of feminism I like. Standpoint feminism, for example, that affirms that there is no hierarchy between men and women, but there is two universes, two perspectives, so completely different universes. They could overlap, but they still they still have totally different structures. So that is the richness. So the dialogue is possible because there are two worlds, shocking, entering into contact and in conflict at the same time. Standpoint feminism that doesn't consider that women should be equal with men, but women should stay women in their own worlds and trying to defend its structure, confronting with too aggressive, for example, patriarchy, because there are spiritual patriarchy of knights, of nobles, of spiritual thinkers, and there is very low patriarchy that is not spiritual, it's aggressive, with no culture. So I'd rather stay on the side of women fighting for their beautiful universe against this low machism, but at the same time, idea of liberal feminism is very bad, because they try to kill what is feminine in women. So they destroy womanhood, and they try to put them transform them in parody on the man. That is the worst thing to imagine, I think. But idea that all these consequences of wrong mentality, wrong way of thinking, with materialism, with immigration politics, with multiculturalism, they are based on some philosophical principles that we should change. Without that, we could not effectively defend our borders, our identity, because liberalism as ideology, as philosophy, insists that there is only one identity, individual. That is the origin of all other. If there is only one identity, individual identity, and there is no collective identity, so, or if there is, it should be overcome or destroyed. That is the main principle of liberalism. So we have no reason to oppose immigration, because they are individuals exactly as ourselves. So we could not blame them to be of different culture, to have different identity, because liberalism denies existence of any collective identities. And on the individual level, they are individuals like us. So we could not use cultural argument, ethnical, religious argument, because all these faculties are refused, are denied theoretically by liberalism. So when we are, for example, trying to preserve Europe traditional identity or religion, or our ethnical traditions, liberals don't understand or don't accept this as something legitimate, precisely because liberalism is based on the absence on any form of collective identity. And ethnical, cultural, religious identity, national identity as well, is collective identity. So destroying this collective identity, they make automatically welcome the other that destroy or dissolve, I would say, our societies. So without winning over liberalism metaphysically, we could not have tool, political or social or juridical tool, to stop that or to control immigration. And the same time with posthumanism, because the same thing with gender politics or LGBT. The idea is that to be woman or to be man, that is collective identity. So, and we should make gender optional in order to reinforce, empower individual identity, to destroy collective identity. So immigration and LGBT gender politics are two sides of the same liberal principles. And next step that is already defined, that is a human identity, because to be human as well as collective. So we should make a society where to be human will be optional, as today men optional, woman optional, citizen optional, everything is optional, because the individual identity should prevail. That is the last stage of liberalism. If we accept liberalism, so we should accept immigration, gender politics, and transhumanism. That will be logic. When I have developed this kind of discourse with my friends, European liberals, they were very, very astonished because they considered the liberalism as absence of the domination of the state in the economy, and that's all. And they are and were against gender politics, against immigration, against globalization, against postmodernism. They were very, very perplexed, I would say, because they very much liked my criticism, but they still believe in the liberalism. But I suggest in that sense reading of Alain de Benoit books and articles about liberalism. I think his critics, he's my friend, very great philosopher, a French philosopher, Alain de Benoit, his criticism of liberalism is brilliant. So he put together all main aspects of what is liberalism and what and why liberalism is incompatible with tradition, with conservatism, with the fight for identity.